Hi guys, welcome back to part 13. Part 13. Welcome back to part 13. End of the last video saw us fitting the cowl, fitting the undercarriage and all the equipment inside. So the next job is to fix the Cabane struts. I'm running the wire to the ailerons up the rear strut, and that just goes into the fuselage, into the aileron servo, and all the wires will be tucked inside with the servo. And then this part will make a little hole, it will go down into the fuselage and receiver. That's amply long enough. This was a 600mm cable, so it's quite long. So I've covered, they've gone on really nice. You can't see the join between the wood and the wires, and to be very, very careful trimming the trimming the plastic around the top of the wires, of course. Last thing I want to do is nick the wires. So there's 4 struts. I'm just going to give them a lick of paint to match the same red and a bit of lacquer, and then we can bolt them on, get that center section bolted in. So that's how I'm doing the concealing the wire, just like that. So here we are then, guys. I've just put the 4 bolts in and just going to put some nuts on. So it's looking pretty good. Quite pleased with that. Okay, I've just set the wing incidences. As you can see, I've fitted the center cabane. I wanted to get that set just right. So currently the lower wings are on 0. The top wing is on minus nearly 1, not quite 1, and the cabanes are in. Everything's tightened up now. The flying wires are in. Not quite the right angle because I think the fuselage is a bit, things were a little bit not quite scale, but I think it looks better for having it in. So anyway, I'm just working on the strut detail now and getting that in and getting, I'll have to glue it in and see how we get on. The aileron servo is still waiting to be fitted, but I've cut a little notch in the plate. A couple of aborted. I thought I was going to take it through there, but in the end I didn't. So it fits in there just nicely. That wire will go through that slot and all the other cables will bunch up inside, because I don't plan to take the wing off. If I ever had to, then I'd have to drop the servo out and unplug it before I took it apart. But we're getting there. It's half a triplane. But to fit the other wings, I'm going to have to bring a bench into the middle of the workshop. So that'll do for the minute. The other thing I've done is I've fitted a master air screw prop. They're only cheap. I intend to fit the Zor ones later on. But I've just tidied it up a little bit with some dummy rivets and bit of sort of painted tips, sanded off the master air screw logos and stuck on a little Fokker transfer I had left over, and then gave the whole lot a couple of coats of matte lacquer, extra coats on one side and the other to balance it. It's balancing lovely at the moment. That's a 14x8. The kit comes with a 14x7. So it'd be interesting to see the power draw on the 2 different props. Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to Cliff Harvey on Seaplanes. Okay, so I'm just fitting the top wings. Well, all the wings actually. But prior to, that's not what I'm looking for. Prior to gluing in the outer struts, I've just connected up the ailerons. I'm just popping on the hatches that hold the ailerons in, put the other wings in and start lining things up. That's the servos in and connected. I might have to power them up because I've moved the servo, and if I'm going to put the incidence meter on. Hold itself there a minute. this one goes in there, slides across. Right guys, I tell you what I've done so far to align the wings. I've bolted them on as far as they'll go. Put the outer struts in. In fact, you've got to put the middle one in first and slide it up and then get the wings in. But the wings are joined to the strut with a little stub, we'll call it a stub. One in the top, one in the bottom, you can see the bottom one there. And so I started at the top by, well, first of all I got it centered up and down, so as I had equal amount of stub going into each wing. Then I took the bolts out and with the plane on its nose, epoxied in the stub in the top, and then immediately made sure that the angle was correct, because there's a small amount of movement in it. I put the two bolts back in loosely just to make sure everything was lining up. So that's that set. Next job was to do the same on the bottom wing, only this time I measured using the Hangar 9 Angle Pro incidence meter, set the angle of incidence at the root at 0, brought it over to here, and I found that I needed to, the wing will have to lift slightly in this corner. So consequently I noted what the angle was and I glued that stub in, put a couple of bolts through and set it up, and then took the bolts out so as it could dry at that position. Same with the other side. So as soon as they're dry I can put the bolts back in and it will pull it up into the angle I need. And then I'm going to run CA in on the centre ones after I've measured the gap between the leading edges, made sure they're the same both sides, and that will be the wings fitted. I'll go back over the wing mounting bolts and make sure they're nice and tight, because I'm keeping this model assembled. I'll paint the bolts in and that will be the wings fitted. I've connected up the ailerons, they work, first time as well. So we're getting very close now, very close. I'll tell you what, if you haven't got an incidence meter, I would get one. I couldn't have put it together without, and it does guarantee the wing incidences are all where they should be, because as I've said, I think on part 12, the incidences are set at 0, 0, and if you remember originally the top wing was plus 10, 11 degrees. I've dropped it down to nearly -1, so the bottom wings will stall before the top wing. Apart from that, my goodness, the struts are tightened, the incidences are set, equalised perhaps I should say. The only thing I've got left to do now is to CA the bottom of the centre struts where they pass through the wing. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to turn the model over. So a couple of drops of CA. I want to fairly well flood it in there. It's really in the ends, each end, where I've got a bit of a gap going on. I can put some liquid down there. I think that's pretty much in there. So while it's upside down, have a look inside. I might just tidy up the cables and what have you. Do you want to see inside? I'll show you inside. So that's what we've got. The receiver is on Velcro down here. The two receiver wires are going in opposite directions, so they're at 90 degrees, which is fine, I guess. So that one's on Velcro. I've just got to tidy these cables up. Bit of a cable tie around them, maybe cable tie them down to the floor there. Same with the aileron wire up here. Or is that? No, it's a split rudder, rudder and pilot, rotating pilot head. So there it is. It's looking quite smart, I think. Yeah. So I'll turn it over and I'll put a battery in and I'll work with the CRG and try and find out what's what. Okay guys, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in as usual. Hit the little like button if you wouldn't mind, and if you want to subscribe, even better. Well, there we are then guys. I'm going to wrap up the build videos for the triplane with this little shot looking around the model. First off, I'd like to thank a couple of people for helping me. Mike Ford, club member, for lending me his wing incidence meter to get all the incidences correct. Dan Durkee for supplying me the file for the new wheel hubcaps. Darren Murphy, local chap, for printing them out. Pete Millwood printing me out the fantastic pilot. And lastly, Rob over at RC Model Geeks on YouTube for putting up his 30 plus videos of the build. They were invaluable. Took a bit of wading through, of course, but if you're building this particular model, then it's worth doing. And that's it really. The next video is going to be the maiden flight. Yeah, I'm going to wait for the perfect weather. I don't want to spoil it. But lastly, all you guys, all your lovely comments kept me going, kept me infused. I'll put a link to the model below, just to remind you it is the Dancing Wings 1540mm Fokker DR1. I hope you liked the little modifications I did along the way and taking some of your advice. It's been brilliant, so I've really enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic build, and hopefully it will float around the sky and look fantastic there as well. I'm really looking forward to flying this one, seeing it in the air, and I know all you guys are too. I mean, the views on the videos are in the thousands, so you know it's a popular aeroplane, and it's a big kit. It's a lot of building. I think I counted 700 odd parts to it. That doesn't include a little bit extras I've done to it. As you know, I've put on the scale details. Just a few really. I mean, it was never going to be a true scale model, but it's going to look good in the air. That's the thing. Shall I show you around the scale details? Yeah, go on then. Just in case you've forgotten them, there was the lifting handles on the back, pair of those either side. I think they're a little bit bigger than scale, but you know, hey, the little footrest climb up in, I think that's possibly a little smaller than scale, I'm not sure, but hey. This of course colour scheme of August Rayburn, Lieutenant August Rayburn, who flew just 18 was it, with the Raven symbol on the side. A little bit bigger than it should have been, but you know, hey, it looks good anyway. I like it. His was the white one, of course. And just to remind you, I painted it in the emulsion paint and sprayed it with matte lacquer. Emulsion is wall paint, to those not familiar with the expression. Oh, the little wingtip skids, they were fun building those on. Really happy with those. The pilot, of course, with the rotating head. You can't see it rotating at the moment, but that's linked into the rudder, so that's going to look a bit of fun. I'll try and mount the camera in various places. My little Mobius camera is. Oh, the air intakes, I wondered what they were, but thanks to the guys on the World War I forum, informed me correctly, they're in fact air intakes. Oh, that's right, I added the gun racks, bullet racks, what do you call them? Shell racks on the guns and exhausts either side. Thanks to Adam, Model Aviator online YouTube channel. Anyway, thanks to Adam for the tip on using the elasticated cotton, I suppose you call it. Anyway, elastic with the chromy finish for the scale looking rig in there. I've changed the prop to a wooden one from the kit. I'll be transporting this model in one piece because I can get it in the car, and it saves a lot of fiddling putting it together. So there it is, guys. I'll put a link to the playlist for my set of videos for this, and that'll appear just up here. So thank you very much for watching. Hit the little thumbs up button, and leave us a comment, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and you'll see that maiden flight. Cheers guys. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Woo-hoo.